Well, I asked, where's the beef? Let's call this for what this is. Oh my God! They are so hopelessly woke. How dare you? That is the intellectual capital of the left today. Give me a break. You are now watching the Daily Roundup. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. You have tuned into the Daily Roundup on this, a Thursday, June 1st, 2023. I'm David Menzies, and my co-host, well, folks, let me tell you a little bit about my co-host. Do you know that today is World Narcissistic Abuse Awareness Day? And my co-host will not be celebrating it. Why? Well, she couldn't secure an interview with Justin Trudeau. She is the she-devil with a spatula. She is the Khaleesi of BC. She is Drea Humphrey. How you doing there, Drea?
Good. I'm good, David. It's also Injured Workers Day, apparently, today. So there's a lot going on June 1st. In Canada, of course, it's the start of Pride season. I'm doing good. Happy to be on the show. It's been a couple of weeks because I had a vacation there, believe it or not.
Well, I'm so happy and I'm so envious. And, you know, you said, our beloved co-host, or colleague, I should say, Sheila Gunn-Reid, she predicted, I think a couple of years ago, that Pride Day that morphed into Pride Week, that morphed into Pride Month, would one day become Pride season. And here we are. I saw something, a Government of Canada official announcement, and they're not calling it Pride Month, Drea. It's Pride season. You know that chunk of calendar real estate we call summertime?
Yeah, the best time of the year.
And actually, it's summer plus the 3 weeks in June leading up to summer. So it's It's a season plus, kind of like that LGBTQ plus symbol. Lots of pluses when it comes to that community, isn't there?
Yeah, there is. It seems as though it's our national religion at this point, to me anyways.
And you know, I mentioned this in my monologue. I was hosting for guest hosting, that is, for Ezra Drea yesterday. Do you find it kind of odd that this community, we now have an entire season set aside to celebrate and affirm and applaud and tolerate, however you want to call it. And yet, for our veterans, for those who made the ultimate sacrifice, one day in November, and I'm afraid one of the most cherished icons in this country that was canceled early on due to wokeness, Don Cherry, he was right when it comes to celebrating that day. And I'm talking about wearing a poppy at 11 a.m. on November 11th. Yeah. Well, the last November when we did the poppy census at Yonge Dundas Square, I can tell you it was well over 95% of passersby in the hour from 10 to 11 didn't have a poppy. But nevertheless, one day for, I guess, honoring toxic masculinity, which I think is a good thing in a world war, Drea. It prevents us from bending the knee to dictators and those carrying out genocide. And yet a whole season of affirmation. I sometimes wonder, is that community, I don't mean to be mean here, but are you that fragile that you need weeks and weeks and weeks of affirmation to, I guess, I don't know, take care of your... I don't know what it is to just affirm that.
I think many. Oh, sorry. I thought you were done. Go on.
Oh no, because in my book, Drea, the Canadian flag is the one that we should all be unified under. It is the flag of our nation.
Yeah,
it doesn't matter what your sexual orientation or your gender identification is. And yet I noticed on Parliament Hill, the Canadian flags were thrown in the bin, and the what is it called? The Pride Progress flags went up. That's the one with the BIPOC vagina symbol. Yeah, it's all so complicated. A little unfrozen caveman journalist like me can't figure it out, Drea. Can you?
No, it's confusing. And I think many in that community are also confused about why a Pride season is necessary, especially the LGBs in the community. They're kind of like, what's going on here? But we have a really good show today for everybody who's tuning in. And if you're not familiar with our daily Roundup lives, it's where we bring you the latest in current events. We chat, and you can actually be a part of the show as well. Let us know what you think by doing live chats. There's two platforms you can do that on, I believe, and one is Rumble and also Odyssey. So if you go on either of those and you do a live chat with a donation of $5 or more, that goes to keeping the lights on at Rebel News, then we do our best to actually read your comment and see what you think about what's going on. And I think we have an exciting thing. I'm very excited about this. If you know anybody, because let's face it, with Bill C-11, the online censorship agenda happening, it's more important than ever to have good journalists out there. So if you know anybody, a younger person, I think it's young adults who would be good or is aspiring to be a journalist, the Democracy Fund charity is putting on a student journalism conference. It's the second year that they've done it, and it's going to be running for 3 days this August. And so they can go and learn the skills they need to be a good journalist, and it's at no cost to them. So this is really huge. They can apply, and I believe they can apply until June 9th. So there is a link in the description box below. And if you want to fire that off to someone you think would be good to, get their boots on the ground and tell Canadians what's really happening, then go to that.
That's right, Drea.
The skills they need to be. Oh, are we playing?
Sorry about that. No, you're quite right. I think the original deadline was the end of May, but the conference isn't until mid-August. So why not extend it, get as many young journalists in? Yeah. And I got to tell you, when I was going to the Ryerson School of Journalism in the early 80s, it's not called Ryerson anymore, and I can't even remember the name of the institution. It sounds like a subway stop, that much I know. I would have killed to go to this conference, Drea. And I base that on my experience with the kids who showed up last August in the Toronto area for our first conference on that. So I know this is a very targeted appeal, but as Drea said, folks, if you know a journalism student, somebody who aspires to be a journalist, let them know about this conference. It is well worth their attendance, believe me.
I think we found William from that last year, did we not?
Yes. Where is Wild Bill these days anyways?
I think he's in school, but yeah.
We couldn't lure him away from academia full time, but oh well, win some, lose some, I guess. But Bill, I will say, was a stellar find. I loved his reporting that he was doing in Ottawa. Those scrums, especially with the little hobgoblin, Omar Alghabra, were the best. And I'm sure there's an open invitation for William to come back once he finishes his academic studies, and I would welcome that. And I'm sure the vast majority of our audience would too. Now, speaking of Parliament Hill, and we talked about this at the beginning, well, the Trudeau Liberals, they have their Pride flag promotion for kicking off, as I said, not Pride Month, folks, Pride season. There we go. Happy Pride, Canada. One thing I want to say about this, Drea, as you know, going back to the trucker convoy, and I remember because I wasn't there for the first weekend, I was still in Toronto, and I'm driving along in Richmond Hill, and I hear this radio report on 680 News, and it's about how the truckers desecrated the Terry Fox statue. And I almost had to pull over and went, oh no, guys, say it ain't so. Say it ain't so.
Yeah.
And then,
me too.
yeah, but then we learn the rest of the story, don't we? The desecration was draping a Canadian flag over the Terry Fox statue. And you know, Drea?
And a poster. There was a removable, protest sign.
That's right. It was not vandalism. It was not spray bombing it. It wasn't a bunch of thugs trying to tear it down, because we give that a pass when it comes to, Sir John A. Macdonald. But here's the thing. There you go. Mandate freedom.
There you go.
Oh, my God. My heart breaks whenever I see the image of that brave young man. And yet...
Who's been removed from our passport. That's desecration.
That's right, along with the war memorial. Again, too much toxic masculinity, men giving their lives in the name of war to defend our freedom. Terry Fox with one leg running across Canada. No, that's not very inclusive. Here's the thing. When Ottawa has its Pride Parade, and maybe it's already happened now on June 1st, I will give you 10,000 to 1 odds that that statue is going to be draped in the Pride flag or the Pride Progress flag or whatever the hell they call it, and it will be applauded. Oh, isn't this beautiful? It won't be reported as desecration. What say you, my friend?
There will definitely be some statues with pride flags. I think I've seen that in person before, but I can't remember which statue it was. So it definitely wouldn't surprise me. I tell you what I'm looking forward to with this, because the normal folk who are, of course, not bigots and think everybody should have rights and everybody should be entitled to their own opinion and be peaceful, I think that more and more people are going to see that we're not crazy. We're not bigots. They really are pushing this agenda on the people, and it really makes no sense. I think we're going to see, businesses doing propaganda, and because they all want to be part of this sort of woke club that they think everybody is wanting to see, and they're going to learn, similar to the States, maybe not quite the pushback, but they're going to learn, no, some people are just tired of this being shoved down their throat, including people from the LGBTQ plus community. So I'm looking forward to that.
And this obsession with the flag, Drea, that if you don't raise it, somehow that space is now an unsafe space. I mean, as I said in my monologue last night, if you're a member of the LGBTQ plus community and you're being harassed or bullied, that is appalling. That is egregious. It should be dealt with, which is to say principals should actually adhere to the slogan, zero tolerance for bullying, other than paying lip service to it. But the mere fact that you think those bullies, those thugs will change their behavior because of a multicolored flag flapping in the breeze, I don't buy that, Drea.
No, it's, yeah.
And one other thing, I think Canada is truly obsessed with this multicolored flag business in June. Lady Menzoid right now has her best friend from California staying over at Casa Menzoid. Well, barely a bungalow, but anyway, the
bungalow Menzoid.
But I was shocked this morning when she told me, and she's from California, her daughter goes to a university in Eugene, Oregon, not all that far away from Portland. So we're talking kind of like woke homeland in terms of America. And this idea of pride flags flying in California schools and, universities, colleges, it's not a thing. I was shocked by that. I'm so used to it here. I really am, Drea. She says there's two flags. There's the U.S. flag and there's the flag of California. And that's it. Now, if you want to walk around...
everybody in the U.S. and California.
Exactly.
Simple.
But if this hasn't caught on in California, my goodness, home to San Francisco, probably the largest percentage of gay people in North America live in that municipality, Drea. So if it hasn't caught on there, and that is as left as you can go in the United States, then why do we seem so obsessed with raising those flags here and putting it into the context of it being a safety issue?
Well, my guess is it's because it's a political agenda, right? Yeah. It's not about. I always, equate it to Black Lives Matter. Of course, Black Lives Matter, but was that movement about helping Black lives? No, and that's what you're seeing happening here. It's about pushing labels so that people can fall in line with this whole globalism. It's sort of a Marxist globalist thing that's happening, and it's being pushed through that way. And our taxpayer dollars are being used to fuel it. So,
as always. Yeah. By the way, on Black Lives Matter, the organization, not the phrase, which of course I concur with, and as you said, all lives matter, but you kind of get into trouble if you say that in certain sectors these days. But I heard BLM, the organization, are they filing for Chapter 11? I guess that's what happens when you take in donations and, go overboard buying mansions around North America.
Mansions and throwing drag queen parties, actually, like really expensive parties. Yeah, well, that should be investigated. I think the latest news I saw about I forget what her name is, like the main organizer, is that she breached a contract or something. She was supposed to do some sort of film and never gave them any never gave them any content. And so there's issues with that as well.
Unbelievable. And I'll never forget Trudeau during the summer of 2020 taking a knee in Ottawa with the Black Lives Matter demonstrators. So, hey,
right in the middle of the COVID pandemic.
Oh, yeah. Oh, no, but it was an exemption. I mean, there was even a Harvard professor said, because of the social justice at play, I guess the virus, it's so super smart, Drea, it knows better than to infect, the woke warriors. There he goes. Here's what I don't get, Drea. You're taking a knee against yourself.
You're taking a knee against. Well, there's that, and what wasn't as popular is when he first walks in. There's this one guy, and I'm surprised there wasn't more since it's a Black Lives Matter protest, who yells out "blackface" as soon as he comes, and it's so funny. But beautiful. Of course, we saw this gaslighting here. My goodness. And people were swarming him too. Again, this is in the middle when they were telling us to mask, to stay away from our friends and family, and they were swarming him.
Yeah, but if you're protesting for freedom, that makes you a yahoo, as Premier Cherry Cheesecake would say. So it all depends on the cause, not the science. Now, as you mentioned, this is a political thing in Ottawa with the Trudeau Liberals kicking off Pride season. But from politics to law enforcement, I think we have a couple of photos, Drea. Oh, the RCMP, they're involved in a trans Pride flag promotion.
Of course. Yeah. Are we surprised?
I think we have a photograph of that. Super producer Efren is just, Now, here's the thing. This is what I was saying, Drea. I'm a fan of less is more when it comes to design. And the original rainbow flag, great logo. It reminds me of the old Houston Astros jerseys, right? Now, I guess about a year or two ago, this abomination came along. Two things. The baby blue, pink, and white, that's to represent the trans community. But LGBT, that's the original flag. The T in LGBT, that always stood for trans. So do the trans people get to double dip? And the brown and the black is representative of black and brown people. But wait a minute. I thought this season was all about sexual orientation and sexual and gender identification. Drea, what does race have to do with this? I mean, what's next on that flag? An illustration of the kitchen sink?
Well, first, I want to say you said the original, and I want to say the original is God's promise in the Bible. That was the symbol, and still is in my books, the symbol of or what the rainbow actually means. That's the OG symbol. But yeah, this is getting out of control. It's so hard to keep up with what each stripe means, and of course, race has to be thrown in there again because they want to put all these pretty labels on us and make sure we know exactly what team we're playing for and who we're supposed to be divided against. So of course, they're going to throw race in there too. And that's the same with the plus. They're putting the plus up there to preserve, the song that never ends. It's the genders that never end. Where is this ever going to stop? Maybe it's transhumanism. I don't know.
Oh, well, when you say when is ever going to stop, Drea, what these dumb Mounties don't realize by holding up that flag, that's already yesterday's news. The most current Pride flag has a yellow blotch with a purple circle. That evidently stands for intersex, whatever that means. So these guys are behind the times. In fact, I would have loved for somebody in the audience go, hey, man, I identify as intersex. Why isn't my symbol on that flag?
They don't have enough room. They can't put all the ways people identify on there. Like there's people in love with fences. So, what color? There's not enough colors.
Unbelievable. How about this? I know this is a radical idea, Drea, but could law enforcement, enforce the law as opposed to doing photo ops for virtue signaling regarding Pride season? And of course, the Toronto Police, which has mandatory transgender training, that was our scoop from last month, thanks to a copper sending us the modules along. And if you haven't seen that video, folks, you have to, because And in fairness to the cops, they're being ordered to do so by the non-elected, unaccountable Ontario Human Rights Commission. But you will see why when the likes of Billboard Chris in your neck of the woods, Drea, gets beaten up by trans people who are self-identifying as violent thugs. You will learn why police do not step in and lay charges. But the Toronto police, they're raising the pride flag on all facilities, and they're very wary of the language too, Drea. For example, Officer Chevalier, who's part of that training module, he has a niece, but he doesn't know if his niece might be identifying as a nephew. I assume this is a child, by the way. So he calls this person his nibbling.
Oh my goodness. So
yeah, they're just making up crap as they go along right now.
Sounds so creepy. Oh my gosh. And now I heard that they want their pronouns to be it.
Oh, really?
Like, there's an actual thing where they go by it, and I'm like, man, that is degrading. Like, oh my goodness, nibbling.
Well, I don't know, Drea, back in the day when I was watching the reruns, Cousin It from the Addams Family, he was a very likable character. Right?
Yeah, he's one of the best. He's one of the best, that's for sure. But it's just...
So, it is just absolute madness. And of course, if you take a stand to this madness, well, look what happened to the Toronto Blue Jay pitcher, Bass. You're hauled before the carpet. You have to do your Cersei walk of shame. He was only supporting the boycotts of Bud Light and Target for their disastrous LGBT, et cetera, promotions. And I got to say, and by the way, if anyone was at the Toronto Blue Jays game last night, could you please send us a note? And I'm saying this because it's being reported that he was booed last night when he took the mound. I was listening to the audio clip, Drea, and I can tell you this, I do hear a smattering of boos, absolutely. But it also sounds like there's a lot of cheers, too.
Cheering.
And I wish I was there because I think this is more fake news on a stick that we're being served.
Yeah, they just focus on the 3 boos.
Okay.
Now,
we do have a clip, thanks to super producer Efron. Let's try
let's hear it.
See, I don't know about you, Drea. I heard boos and I heard yays, right?
Well, the people in the row of the camera are booing, so we hear that the loudest. But you can actually see clapping. You can see hands clapping further down. So what we need is another angle.
Yes.
And it could sound very different. Now, we've got 2 live chats. Again, that's a way that you can be a part of the show on Rumble or Odyssey that relate to this before we move to the next subject. Kenzie67 donates $5. Thank you very much. And says, this small fringe minority of radical lefties flying offensive flags that are racist, anti-white, anti-straight, anti-Christian, anti-conservative, they shall not be tolerated or allowed in society. So yeah, they are anti all those things. And when you're only raising one flag about sexual orientations, you are thus excluding so many other things, like David, when you brought up our great veterans with, one season compared to a couple of hours.
And Drea, the other problem too, it's a fake flag. It's not even a real flag in terms of representing a nation. And on that note, look at the slippery slope we're on. I mean, right now with the war going on in Ukraine, what if a school was to raise the Ukrainian flag, or for that matter, depending on what side you're on, the Russian flag? I mean, you see what we're getting into? I mean, that would, of course, generate controversy. I don't think that's our place. I think, like I said, it is the flag of the nation. Whether you like the maple leaf or not, or you pine for the old red ensign, regardless, the current flag of the nation is the maple leaf. It's inclusive for everyone. This idea that you're a hater if you don't fly that, rainbow flag, pride progress, whatever they call it, it's outrageous.
Mm-hmm. Ableist SL donates $5 as well and says, in regards to in regards to dealing with school bullying, do you support school staff attempting to deal with anti-regressive, anti-gender theory, bullying by forcing regressive leftist students to de-radicalize?
Now, am I understanding the question? Is ableist saying, do we support teachers getting in the way of the woke agenda, or?
I think that's the way I read it.
Yeah, you know what? I would applaud that. However, that's a career-limiting move, at least at Ontario school boards. You will be put out to pasture so fast, and don't expect your union to come to your defense. They're as woke. The teachers' unions, that is, Drea, they are as woke as the school boards. They march in lockstep. So any teacher that's brave enough to, and in fact, I don't even have to speculate.
They'll be suspended so fast.
There is a teacher out in your neck of the woods in BC that got thrown under the bus for taking a stance. Isn't that correct?
Absolutely. Jim McMurtry, I've done a few reports on that. And the last, he was actually terminated. So very interesting story. But I can tell you off record, there are a couple of teachers who've also reached out to me who are on suspension right now. They're not comfortable telling their story because they want their jobs back, but I'm just hanging and waiting for it, that are being suspended for similar things. And of course, word gets around, these teachers are muzzled. And so, yeah. And also, it just shouldn't be a political place. You shouldn't be proselytizing to these kids. It should be neutral. Teach them to treat other people the way they want to be treated. It's that simple. That's what teachers should be doing, period.
100%. Respect is respect. Drea, before we get to our next subject, why don't we change gears? Because, wasn't that delicious, Pierre Poilievre in the House yesterday, going after blackface.
Oh, my goodness.
Let us take a quick ad break. We'll see y'all on the other side.
Yeah, you don't want to miss this.
Living with spike protein in a post-pandemic world is something we all have to grapple with, whether you've had the virus, you've been vaccinated yourself, or if you're around those who were. The wellness company's Spike Support Formula is a daily supplement that can help you feel your best and then stay that way. Go to twccanada.health to get back to that pre-pandemic feeling with Spike Support. Use coupon code REBEL to save 10% off these doctor-formulated products, which are rooted in science, and for a limited time, your first month's membership is only 99 cents. That's twccanada.health, coupon code REBEL at checkout. It's time to put your wellness back in the driver's seat. Living with Spike Pro.
Have you checked out the fresh new swag we have at rebelnewsstore.com, like this nifty resistance trucker sweater? We have warm, cozy sweaters, t-shirts, mugs, hats, phone cases, you name it. Everything to fit your freedom-loving needs, or maybe even trigger a liberal family member or friend. And for a limited time, you can use code TAMARA10 at checkout to save 10% off of your total order. So head on over to rebelnewsstore.com, check out all of our new designs, make some purchases, and use code TAMARA, that's TAMARA 10 at checkout for 10% off your order. Head on over, check it out.
Well, you know, Drea, that clip of that snowflake losing her marbles in 2016 because of Trump getting elected, I hope she's alive and well. Because should Trump recapture the White House next year, I want to see that scream once again, probably on steroids. That never
We got to
gets
find
old.
her. We got to find her and reach out for an interview. She is so famous. Who knows? Maybe she's no longer a lefty. Maybe she's been changed.
Yeah, it's like, you know, a separated at birth vibe I'm getting from Trigglypuff. Remember her? You know, these somewhat larger women that start screaming when they see something they don't like. I don't know.
My goodness. Oh, man.
Anyways, so as I alluded to before the break, Drea, Pierre Poilievre in mid-season form, let me tell you, in the House yesterday, talking about blackface leaving his teacher's role in mid-semester. I asked him that question back in the parliamentary debates. the parliamentary press debate back in 2019.
Right.
Oh, yeah, never got a straight answer, just that he was a very, very popular teacher. Oh, yeah, blackface? How popular? Because, it's very unusual when a teacher resigns midterm. It's even more unusual that a teacher brings his or her lawyer into the principal's office to talk about the resignation. Yeah, nothing suspicious to see here, Drea.
Yeah.
But let's see what Mr. Poilievre has to say, and I want to get your opinion after the clip.
Yes, Mr. Speaker, I was a high school teacher before getting into politics, and I'm having a little trouble remembering what exactly the job that the Leader of the Opposition had before getting into politics. Mr. Speaker, we have a plan to fight climate change. We have a plan to continue to move forward on supporting Canadians with a grocery rebate, with a growing economy, with great middle-class jobs. We're delivering health care supports for Canadians from coast to coast to coast, delivering dental care that has helped 300,000 kids access dental care over the past number of months, including 1,100 in his own riding. Mr. Speaker, we will continue to be there for Canadians.
Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Yes, and he left right in the middle of the semester, and I'm having trouble remembering why. Now, Mr. Speaker. Buddy, he certainly wasn't a math teacher. He certainly was not a math teacher.
Oh, no, he wasn't a math teacher, Drea, because that grocery rebate blackface drones on about, that doesn't even come close to matching the amount so many Canadians are paying in these ever-increasing carbon taxes. Give me a break.
The mic dropped so hard there with Pierre. I'm really surprised that he went there. And, for those of you who don't know, you said a little bit about it, but it's an unconfirmed rumor that, the reason why he left so suddenly is because of something inappropriate with a student. So for him to go there is great. I've seen critics say, oh, he's, the Conservatives are peddling conspiracy theories. But like you said, you went there too. Rebel News went there too. Yep. I think both you and our former colleague, Cian Bexte, when we're working with Rebel, we're the only journalists, right? Am I right to ask that question? I don't know if we have a clip of any of that, but I think it's worth that refreshing to show that journalists should have been asking that question too. Efron's working, our producer's working by himself today, so I don't know if that's handy. But you didn't get in. And correct me if I'm wrong, is it not after you guys asked that question that then Rebel started getting censored, or were you already being refused entry?
You know what? I'm going by memory, Drea. Of course, for 2019 and 2021, we had to go to federal court and get a judge to force our admission in there. In 2019, our questions were answered, although they were non-answers. In 2021, both Jagmeet Singh and Blackface played the I don't recognize you as a valid media organization. I will not answer your questions. Even though, and that's not a kick in the gonads to us, Drea. That's a kick to our audience. That's a kick to the democratic process. That's a kick to the court that said, we are a legitimate media organization and we should be in there. But no, Blackface, like any dictator, he's above the courts, Drea. And I do believe we have a clip, I believe it's from 2019, of Cian Bexte. So let's check out the PM.
Your campaign or any other agents secured non-disclosure agreements from anyone about inappropriate sexual personal conduct?
No.
Follow-up, the 2001 yearbook from West Point Grey Academy says that you and convicted sex offender Christopher Ingvaldson made a young student's, quote, life at WPGA a lot more interesting / amusing, end quote. How did you two keep her amused?
We were teachers.
Now you're going to have...
Unbelievable. And also, Drea, if our audience might have forgotten or never saw it, both Cian and I at the time, not only did we go out to BC, this was before you were on board, but we also flew down to South Carolina, where that teacher who's part of that infamous Arabian Nights photo with Trudeau in full blackface yet again. We tried to get some answers from her. Well, the result was nobody answered the door. When I was there, when Kian got there, the police were called. So there is some kind of ominous gag order, I suspect, in that nobody will talk about it, or they're just bloody terrified to talk about it.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'd love to get to the bottom of that some way. Maybe someday it will come out. Now, what was the dig that Trudeau was trying to make at Poilievre there about his previous job? Is it that Poilievre has pretty much always been in politics? Is that what he's trying to say?
You know, it's amazing because, I mean, coming from blackface, the part-time drama teacher and occasional bodyguard, and I know that's rich. I mean, you know, that is just absolutely astonishing. And you know what? I will take Pierre Poilievre's mind over that of Justin Trudeau. I can hardly wait. Whenever the election is, probably next year, but at the latest 2025, Drea, I can hardly wait for the first debate. I think Poilievre is going to make mincemeat of blackface. And by the way, one side note, because super producer Ephraim passed it along, and it was about Andrew Coyne. He's a columnist at the Globe and Mail. I consider him to be the most boring man in mainstream media journalism today. I mean, and that's a sin to me, Drea. I think in this business, be good, be bad, be so bad you're good, but for God's sakes, don't be boring. And typically, when I'm into the third paragraph of an Andrew Coyne column, it's another recipe for Sominex. But he called Pierre a thug, evidently, and don't forget, Andrew Coyne, if he is a conservative, this is one of these, you know, Aaron O'Toole conservatives, John Charest conservatives, you know, really conservative light. And I want to point this out because, you know, Andrew Coyne doesn't have the decency to say, oh, by the way, full disclosure, which is this. His cousin, Deborah Coyne, is the mother of Pierre Elliott Trudeau's love child, you know.
Right.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So in a way, I guess that makes her, would it be Andrew Coyne's half sister or something like that? I mean, I can never figure out these family lines. And there's a famous photo, by the way, and it's Pierre Elliott Trudeau's funeral. I believe it was 1999, if memory serves. And
they're further back, right? Like
they're in steerage class, right?
Yeah.
They're in stowage class. And the Trudeau boys, they're right up at ringside. So a little bit of, I don't know, family apartheid going on, whether or not you're a full Trudeau or not. So, I mean, please, Mr. Coyne, spare us your righteousness and have the decency as a journalist to say full disclosure, I'm actually related to the Trudeau family.
Yeah, exactly. Oh my goodness. You know what? This is a good time to talk about something else exciting. I mentioned the journalist conference, but you and I, David, and some more rebels and everybody watching is welcome, are going to Israel.
Yes.
It's coming up in September. So it's, I think it's under our Rebel vacations. So we are going to Israel and Dubai, and we are inviting you guys to come with us. And I just can't wait. I'm so excited. Like, it's going to be so good. We're going to, look at the Christian and Jewish sites, the history. And also, I'm just reading this, where Israel's dangerous borders with the Gaza Strip. So that's another thing that we're going to be focusing on. How excited are you about this, David?
Oh, super excited, and I'll tell you why. I've seen this movie before, and I give it 2 thumbs up. I was there in 2018. what a great bunch of Rebel News fans. They were just wonderful, so educational. By the way, I got to know, we know when you spend like about a week or 10 days with coworkers, you get to know a lot more about them. And for our beloved colleague, Sheila Gunn-Reid, I found out two things. She's terrified of confined spaces. She literally ran out of a catacomb screaming. And she is also phobic to winding mountain roads. She curled up in a little fetal position and whimpered. And I'm not making fun of Sheila. I looked upon both incidents with fascination, Drea, because, you know, Sheila, she is like, she really is a she-devil with a sword. She goes out there hunting. She could wrestle a rabid wolverine. And yet, what? You're going down a mountain road and you're screaming like you're on the Leviathan roller coaster again?
Well, I look forward to seeing that. And it's also really nice when we get the chance to get to know our Rebel supporters well. I have never done it on an overnight sort of situation, but I'm really looking forward to it because I've had, you know, the meetings and things like that where you get to meet them. So it's going to be super fun. If you want more information about that, you can go to rebelvacations.com and everything's there. And I think it's September, mid-September or the beginning of September, we're heading out. So
that's right. I believe, Dre, it's the day after Labor Day.
Right.
So it's the weather's going to be absolutely beautiful. And what we didn't do in 2018, which we're doing now, which you alluded to, we're also taking a little side trip to Dubai. And you know what? Mm-hmm. You know, I'm a car guy. I've always wanted to go to Dubai just for the cars because talk about a regime where the streets are proverbially paved with gold. If you buy like a Rolls Royce or a Lamborghini in Dubai, and you don't trick it up and customize it, that's like a schlepper vehicle, right? So the sort of wheels you're going to see in that uber rich country, it's amazing. So yeah, folks, please register as soon as possible. I'm not just saying that because it sold out last time. I'm sure it's going to sell out this time.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, what do we have next?
Okay, then. So we've taken care of, how about...
Yeah.
Here we go. This is a nice one, Drea. Elon Musk slams blackface for what he did to the freedom truckers in Canada. You know, if only I could afford to buy a Tesla, I would, just to support this
I know. I wanted one a little bit. Yeah.
I mean, Elon Musk just gets better and better. And, speaking of Elon Musk and Twitter and Tesla, don't you find it uncanny, Drea, that just going back, a year and a half or so ago before he took over Twitter, Elon Musk was the darling of the left. Look at this young entrepreneur coming out with these zero emission electrical cars. He's saving the planet. And then he bought Twitter. Oh, yeah. Yeah. And he's a freedom fighter. Freedom? I mean, that's the new F word when it comes to the left. And they have turned on this guy like I've never seen. But I think he keeps hitting it out of the ballpark.
Yeah, well, I did a Streeter report where I went down to, fairly woke area in Vancouver, and I asked passerbys what they thought about Elon Musk. And surprisingly, a good chunk of them were still okay with him. But some of them, whenever they said, I hate him, they could never properly explain why. And that's the thing. Their morals are not rooted from within. They're rooted from external factors. So whatever they've been told is what they morally believe. And so I hate him. They couldn't even at all describe their hate.
That's a great point. And I did a similar Streeter segment in Toronto at Yonge Dundas Square, Drea, right after his takeover. And to my shock and pleasant surprise, the vast majority of respondents were on Team Elon Musk. They like the idea of Twitter being a freedom-friendly platform. It shocked me. I thought it was going to go the other way. But you know what that says to me? More and more Canadians out there, they ain't buying what the mainstream media is selling.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so they're digging their own graves.
I think we have a clip. Let's see Elon Musk in action.
That's actually an important part of freedom as well. If those doing, the money exchange or running the money system can stop people who disagree with them politically, that's a huge problem. I mean, so that happened in Canada with the trucker strike, where people were being basically financially ostracized from society for just being in a peaceful strike. So I think it's important that we have a within the bounds of the law that we enable freedom of flow of money, which is a form of information. That's actually an important part of freedom as well.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Good
here's
point.
my worry, Drea, when he speaks of the freedom of flow of money. Since he said that publicly, I just wonder if Blackface is going to try to freeze his bank account. And what a bank account that is. I mean, that's the world we live in, isn't it?
Yeah, I know. And I mean, it's great to see Elon say these things, but I can't help but be reminded that we're in like these two parallel universes, because while it rolls so smoothly off Elon's tongue that what happened to the peaceful trucker convoy protesters was wrong, then you have other people still to this day, I don't even know, I can't remember who, coming out and still saying that it was an act of terrorism there. So you have these two people that believe completely opposite things about the same exact event.
Well, maybe you're talking about
You have
MP
it?
Sachs. Is that her
I
name?
think. Yes.
Yeah,
Yes,
who
yeah.
said that honk honk is code for Heil Hitler. Gee, if that's the case, we better get the Mounties down to Center Island. There's a lot of Canada geese going honk honk all the time. We don't want that neo-Nazi bird movement to get going, do we?
Yeah, it's such a joke. It's such a joke. But people, that's how powerful news is, depending on where you're getting that kind of information, you can think something completely different. So.
100%. Well, Drea, before we wrap things up, we got a break for one more ad. And we'll be back on the other side to do our final subject and look at some more super chats that have come in. Keep it here.
I am doing something today that I have never tried before. Listen up. I'm looking for collaborators in a new and exciting initiative. As you most likely know, YouTube a long time ago demonetized Rebel News, and we are 100% viewer funded. Now, while our supporters are fantastic at helping us cover legal campaigns and special reporting missions, unfortunately, the reality is our day-to-day operational expenses often exceed our income stream. Which is crazy if you think about it, because my videos across all platforms attract hundreds of thousands of views and sometimes even millions. So I want to share that reach with the right partners. If you have a product or business and want to enter a win-win relationship with me, please go to rebelnews.com/ads and fill in the form to let me know. I won't be accepting anyone. I need to believe in your business or product so I can sell it proudly for you. And for successful applicants, I will guarantee a minimum view count, meaning even if your ad is published on the less popular reports, we'll keep promoting your business or product until it gets the agreed minimum eyeball. So again, if you have a cool company or product that either wants to take advantage of my reach or want to support my work through advertising in a way that you can write it off as a tax deduction or both, head over to rebelnews.com/ads and hopefully we can join forces soon.
Avi's quite the salesman, wouldn't you say, Drea?
Oh, I know. Yeah, he's such a star. He's such a star for sure. Makes me want to start a business just so I can sign up for the.
Indeed. I'm always reaching for my wallet, and then I remember there's nothing in there except losing lottery tickets. And even when I win, they don't pay out. But that's a story for another time. Here's something we must address. I can't believe the chutzpah of this man. Chutzpah, my favorite Yiddish word, Drea, means sheer unmitigated gall. David Johnston to stay on as special rapporteur. Not just a rapporteur, a special rapporteur. despite majority of MPs voting for him to resign. Yeah, but you know what? As the late, great Tina Turner used to sing, Drea, what's love got to do with it? I guess with, the Trudeau Liberals, what's democracy got to do with it? Here's what I've said from the get-go, Drea. There's two problems here. One is Justin Trudeau should never have asked a close family friend to be this special rapporteur in the first place. And David Johnston, all this talk I heard, impeccable credentials, unblemished resume. He should have said, Justin, as much as I'd love to help you out, the optics stink. They're terrible. I have to respectfully decline. But nope, he's all in. Keep it in the family. What a disgrace, Drea.
It's always, there's so many conflict of interests with this government. But yeah, it's ridiculous. It smells so bad. And I hope people are seeing it. Family friend. Why on earth would the Prime Minister think someone he calls a family friend would be the first person? We all know why, but we can't say it. You can't make this stuff up. It's just getting ridiculous. You just either have to laugh or cry about it at this point.
And Dre, I'm not trying to make this personal, but if memory serves, back in 2019, 2021, when he was involved with the parliamentary debates during the election years, Johnston was perfectly okay having the independent media banned from that. So I'm trying to understand where this reputation comes from about impeccable credentials and he's above any scandal. This guy sounds pretty scandalous to me, I got to tell you.
Well, it's a scandal to be the repertoire when you are a family friend of the Prime Minister. That's a scandal in itself. So even that alone. But yeah, no, I don't know. I think there was just headlines that said it in the state preferred media, and then that's where everybody got the information from. So
yeah, and there it is. Vote 174 to 150 to fire Johnston.
Yeah, get him out.
Yeah, and there's Han Dong that he's shaking hands with.
That's not Han Dong. That's President Xi.
Oh, it is, right.
Yeah. Jeez, David.
Oh, my God. Well, you know what? There's a joke in there somewhere, but I dare not utter the punchline. But it is Han Dong, of course, is the one who, now they're saying that he's cleared of the allegations of Communist Chinese Party interference in Canadian elections. But I will say this, Drea, moving forward in our great Dominion, I think the takeaway lesson from this special rapporteur is never hire a Johnston to investigate a Dong.
Oh, man. I think we got one interesting thing that we can squeeze in before we go. And is it Twitter? I'm trying to find it. My goodness, I lost it. Twitter has canceled the deal with Daily Wire to stream What is a Woman over misgendering, labels it hateful conduct. So that's quite shocking from the freedom of speech platform that is Twitter.
Now, Drea, full disclosure, I haven't done a deep dive into this story. All I know is basically what the headline conveys. But first of all, I'm shocked because, new Twitter, as opposed to Twitter Classic, new Twitter is all about freedom of speech. And when you have a title, What is a Woman? I think that's fair game. Last year, we saw a Supreme Court justice being appointed in the United States who could not define what a woman is. So if she has questions, a Supreme Court justice in the U.S. Supreme Court, then why can't that be the title of a show?
I have no clue what's going on here, and I hope we get an answer from Musk himself. The CEO let everybody know on Thursday that the free screening of What is a Woman is not going to be going through due to misgendering. Says after reviewing the film, Twitter let us know that not only could we no longer purchase the package they offered, they would no longer provide us any support and would actually limit the reach of the film and label it as hateful conduct because of misgendering.
Unbelievable.
So, yeah, specifically, so there's a specific portion of the film. In the film, when a father refers to his 14-year-old daughter as her, and a store owner uses the wrong pronoun in a confrontation with a transgender woman. So I do remember both of those parts.
Yeah, so I guess, Drea, going back to what we discussed earlier, Toronto police officer Chevalier, maybe he was ahead of the curve in not dealing with, niece, nephew, just calling them nibblings. Sounds like a brand of licorice or Jolly Green Giant corn, if you ask me. But here's my question. Could this be, and forgive my ignorance because I don't know if it's addressed in the article, does Elon Musk, was he made aware of this decision? Because if he was, he has some explaining to do, as Ricky Ricardo would say, because I am hopeful this might be some Twitter woke holdout employee that made an arbitrary decision, and maybe this is going to be reversed. I don't know, Dre. I'm just hoping against hope. What do you say?
Yeah, well, I didn't make it to the end of the article too because it was one of our last topics we were talking about. But as far as I can see from scrolling down, it says Musk, who received constant criticism. Nope, sorry. Yeah, I don't see a comment from Musk about it. But he's usually pretty good at confronting things head on. So maybe if the people just go on Twitter and ask him, he'll explain himself. Including
our very own Ian Miles Chung, who has an ongoing dialogue with Mr. Musk, because I am hopeful this was an employee going off the reservation, so to speak, and there's going to be, how shall I put it, an attitude adjustment. That's what I'm hoping. We'll see how this plays out in the next 24 hours. Drea, less than a minute to go. And I have to go. I'm on a mission. I know you've got an assignment coming up. So just to wrap things up, thank you so much, everybody, for tuning in, especially those of you who gave us a donation. That's how we keep these lights on. And boy, are they hot. They're making me a sweaty Betty today, let me tell you. Thank you, too. Oh, go ahead, Drea.
Sorry, I turned off my phone, but apparently we do have a reply from Elon's, the CEO tweet. Oh, it's on the screen. I always have to look. I have contacts on, okay, so I can only see far. Okay, so here we go. Oh, good. He says this was a mistake by many people at Twitter. It is definitely allowed. Whether or not you agree with using someone's preferred pronouns, not doing so is at most rude and certainly breaks no laws. I should note that I do personally use someone's preferred pronouns just as I use someone's preferred name simply from the standpoint of good manners. However, for the same reason, I object to rude behavior, ostracism, or threats of violence if the wrong pronoun or name is used. So there you go.
Well, Drea, my wish came true, and super producer Efren tells me that came in less than half an hour ago. That's what I suspected, and I was right. And well, I'm going to do the Barry Horowitz, pat myself on the back, for getting to the bottom of this with my theory. So thank you so much for that. I can sleep easy tonight, and thank you, Mr. Musk, for again standing up for freedom. But we have to say goodbye. Thank you to Efren. Drea, thank you for your guest hosting today. Tomorrow, it's our Alberta crew weighing in on a very important week in Alberta. Yes, the UCP back with a majority government. Thank God. So don't miss that, folks. In the meantime, as always, stay safe and stay sane.
Bye, everyone.